Hello everybody, Indomsex01, Rowanetry here, and I can't even go a week without some company revealing what figures they have. I can't even get a week off. So yes, last night, the keyword is last night, Safari revealed their new figures for 2021. And you might notice that this video is nearly uploaded a day after everybody else has covered it. That's because somehow other people find a way to make a whole entire video within 30 minutes of the images getting released. How? Look. If any of those lot are watching, you know who you are. I recommend putting something into your videos. It's called effort. I'm looking at you, Sketchy. And also, this video's been uploaded nearly a day after everybody else has covered this, mainly because these images were revealed at 10 o'clock at night at my time. What did you expect me to do? Record a video for at 10 at night? So, let's stop this pity parade and just talk about Safari's figures for next year. Now, as always, I'll be starting off with my least favorite and ending with my favorite. I'm pretty sure you sort of get the gist at this point. And our first figure from Safari in 2021 is... What? What the fuck? What on earth am I looking at? What is this? Is this concept art from the early 2000s? What the fuck am I looking at? Okay. Okay. Let me give you a little bit of a backstory here. If you didn't know, these figures were actually pretty much listed on the Safari website, but they didn't reveal the actual figures. This was listed as Mythical Dinosaur, and once these listings were revealed, me and a few other people started speculating, because since it said Mythical Dinosaur, we assumed it was something like the mythical animals that Slight make, which is basically a dinosaur with a theme to it. Like, for example, we would have a magma T-Rex, we would have a water Spinosaurus. Basically, the elements from Avatar but as dinosaurs. Or maybe even the Mortem Rex. That's a way to describe what we imagined. But the thing is, they said mythical. So we assumed that they would be like mythical beasts. But no, they took it in a different direction. Which is that instead of making them like mythical beasts, they gave them armor. Like knights! Even putting my disappointment aside for a second, this is still a bad figure. First off, I just want to say, the armor can't be removed. Yep. We are stuck with this horrible armor on this T-Rex. I mean, armor could look pretty cool on a T-Rex if it's done right, which it is not here. Even ignoring the armor, this figure is still bad. First off, that head. What happened to the head of this T-Rex? First off, what on earth is that jawline? It's so shrink-wrapped. What? What's up with that jaw? And another complaint is the whole entire head in general. It looks squished. Because of course, like, T-Rex doesn't have the longest snout, but it has a decently long snout. Meanwhile, this right here, this looks like it has the snout of a Rugops or a Majungasaurus. This does not look like a T-Rex. The only way it looks like a T-Rex is its arms. That is the only way this looks like a T-Rex. But as for positives with this guy, it looks good from the top. Yes, I like the paint. I legitimately like the paint on this thing. As for the actual Rex itself, I really like the green and black stripes they went for, which is very similar to the Bull T-Rex from the Lost World. And I also really like the paint on the armor. It looks all rusty, it looks like it's been through battles. I like the paint. It just falls apart everywhere else. Okay, I'm giving this thing way too much attention. In that case, let's just move on. Okay, next up, we have another armored dinosaur. But the next one actually looks like what it's supposed to be. And the next figure is the armored Triceratops. Now this figure legitimately looks good. First off, I really like the paint. I really like this dark brown, which just pops out when it's painted onto the lighter brown with the pale underbelly. And I also really like these white? Is that a way to describe them? Creamy color for the horns and for the beak. Once again, it really makes those parts of the figure just pop out even more. But here's the main issue with this figure. It's the armor for me. This figure would be phenomenal on its own without the armor. But the armor just didn't sit for me. This figure would look phenomenal without the armor. But this isn't as bad as the T-Rex, where everything on that thing is horrible. This could be a fantastic figure, just without the armor. I mean, the armor could be a lot worse. This whole entire figure could be way worse. But this could also be a lot better. But we wouldn't have this issue if we could just remove the armor, because then everybody would be happy. People who want the armor on can just have the armor on. But people who don't want the armor on and just want a normal Triceratops, they could just buy it and take the armor off. But of course, sadly, we can't do that, because you can't remove the armor. So, there is a phenomenal Triceratops underneath all of this armor. It's just too bad we can't see it because of the armor. And that personally ruins the figure for me. Well, it doesn't ruin it. It just makes it less interesting. The whole entire concept of armored dinosaurs could have been so cool. I mean, instead of giving them medieval armor, imagine if you gave them futuristic armor. I mean, prehistoric beasts with futuristic armor, which you can remove, that would be so good. But instead, we're stuck with dinosaurs with medieval armor, which you can't remove. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. I sounded like a proper father there. I believe we should now move on to the actual dinosaurs. Okay, now we have the Daspletosaurus, also known as generic theropod number 69. Okay, all jokes aside, I actually really like the look of this. How about I start off with the paint? I really like this bright orange base with this dark green over the top. Hold on a second. It looks like a mango. It looks like a bloody mango. Can I not go 30 seconds without telling a garbage joke? Okay. I also really like the color of the eyes, because the eyes are bright blue. It just looks beautiful. But besides all of that, this just looks like another Tyrannosaurid. I mean, like, yes, I know it is a Tyrannosaurid. There's nothing here which really makes it stand out from the rest. That's why I liked Collector's selection from last time. Because, for example, the Megalosaurus. Without the quills, it would just look like another theropod. But because Collector put those quills there, you can look at it, you can pick it up, you can point it out from the rest, and say that that is a Megalosaurus. But besides the colors, if you put this Daspletosaurus side by side with any other theropod, it would just blend in with the rest, and there would be nothing about the sculpt which would really make it stand out from the rest. Because with Collector, they had the quills. Meanwhile, for the Daspletosaurus, if you don't know that that is a Daspletosaurus, you couldn't really point it out from the rest. You would probably assume it's a T-Rex. Because there isn't really anything about the Daspletosaurus, sculpt-wise, which would make it pop out. But despite all of that, I still love the look of this figure. I really like the pose. I love the colors, despite it looking like a mango to me. I still really like the look of this. I just really like the look of this Daspletosaurus. As long as it doesn't start dancing. Oh dear God. Anyways, I really like the look of this figure. It isn't the highest on my list. It isn't my most anticipated figure, but I could see why if people like it. I could see why people like it if they do. I messed that whole line up. I'm keeping that in. I might end up picking it up if it's on sale one day, sure. But it isn't the highest on my list, and it's not my top priority. So now I believe we should move on to the next two figures. Wait! Before we move on, I just want to take a second to mention this photo on Safari's website. We have the Daspletosaurus on what I assume is a sink because we have two taps. But in one of them, we can see the room. You can see the door. I think you can see the person and the camera. And hold on a second. Is that Tank? Okay. You can move on to the actual figure now. Next up, we have our second British dinosaur from the model companies for next year, and that is the Baryonyx. Okay, I really like the look of this. I'm gonna start off with the paint. I really like the paint. I really like this bright undertone with this dark brown floating down the side on the top of the figure. And I also really like the little leopard spots in the same color as the brown on the top. It just makes it really just... I've said pop out so many times, but I would say pop out again just because of the contrast between the colors. And I also really like the little bit of red on the top of the head. However, the eyes are pretty much the same shade as yellow as the underbelly. So it would have been better if the eyes were like green or maybe even purple. Ooh. But the colors, amazing. And I also really like the sculpt and the pose, because just look at it. This is a Baryonyx. We have a representation of a Baryonyx from nearly every single big company. And in my opinion, this one's probably one of the best ones along with the collector one. But just look at it! The earthy colors on the top just bring this creature to life. Oh, just look at those arms! Those are the arms of a Baryonyx. Not whatever Papo did with theirs. This is a Baryonyx. Everything on this looks spectacular. From the mold to the paint to the arms, just look at those arms. I can't emphasize the arms enough. However, I do have one complaint, which is with the head. It's nothing with the head in particular. I believe that the mold for the head is great. My problem is with the paint, mainly on the mouth. Because of course, when a carnivore opens their mouths, they have the big pink flappy thing. But here they didn't bother painting that. So that is my main problem with the figure. Apart from that, great figure. To be honest, it's that good. I don't really have anything else to say about it. This was a short one. Okay, let's just move on to our next and last and my personal favorite figure from Collector in 2021. The Spinosaurus. What is there to say? Just look at it. Look at those colors. First off, the white, yes. The blue, yes, 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 yes. And the brown, just to mix it up a bit. Yes. Just look at the damn thing. It's phenomenal. And as for the sculpt, I'm pretty sure that this is the first Spinosaurus that has been made since the discovery was made about the tail. Well, Papo predicted it. This is the first Spinosaurus to be released in the aftermath of that discovery. And it works! Just this mold right here is bounds and leagues above whatever they did a few years ago with the swimming one. This right here blows that out of the water. I mean, just look at that detail. I mean, it isn't as detailed as most Papo models. But still, look at it! I also really like the eye, if I am correct here. Because yeah, as you can see from this picture right here, the top of the head isn't that detailed. However, once again, the paint is really nice. But as for the actual eye, either A, it's completely black, because there's a high chance what we're seeing in the middle might be a light that's just reflecting on the surface of the black paint. But there's a chance that this little dot right here is actually a pupil. A blue and white pupil. If it is, I love it. If it is just black, that'll probably be my main complaint with the figure. Because I don't have any other complaints. Because just to look at it. So, there isn't that much to say here, because this figure is amazing all around. This is obviously my favorite figure from Safari in 2021. I will hope, the keyword is hope, to pick this thing up and put it along my expanding collection of Spinosauruses. And it's safe to say that Safari has definitely redeemed themselves from whatever that thing they made in 2019 was. And that's it. It only took me 21 minutes, but I've gone through every single figure from Safari in 2021. And yes, I am aware, reviews have now been released, because when I started making this, those reviews weren't out yet, but now they are, and I haven't watched any of them yet. And knowing me, I'm probably too lazy to watch them. But I'm pretty sure we've seen most of the figures that are going to be released in 2021. Because we've seen all of them, apart from 3 more collector figures which are going to be released next week. And Papo hasn't revealed anything yet. I've probably jinxed it now, haven't I? Knowing me. They're probably going to release the images this week just because of me saying that. But yes, next year for Safari, there are some weaknesses. The armored dinosaurs! But, besides those, next year looks fantastic for them. And I believe this is all I have to say. So here is Domstex01 signing out. Wait, what? There are 2 more figures that Safari's releasing next year? Oh. I ain't touching that.